We got a question about creative finance deals. Do you get a lot of seller finance? Have you heard of sub two? What do you think about any non-conventional way
I
or
don't like any of it. I honestly, anytime anyone even says the word creative financing, I'm like, shut the f up, get out of here.
Doesn't it make sense if that's the thing that can push a deal through? For example, if someone buys a house 3, 4 years ago and they got a 2.5% interest rate and now rates are 5.5, 6%, doesn't it make sense to try to just seller finance the equity that's there, or
You
pay
can't though.
someone money to be able to take over the loan?
You can't do it. There's no way to there's really no great way to keep a loan and transfer an asset. Trust me, I would do it if I could. I have been in this business for 15 years, done billions of dollars in deals. Not a single deal have I been able to have the original loan kept.
So we've spoke to this guy 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗪, and this is like his whole big thing. He's got like a couple thousand units or something. He talks about it. He's like the guy on YouTube that talks about creative financing, specifically also sub two, which is basically you go in, you take over the mortgage payment. So you just send the money. And then I think what he does is he puts the deed in a trust or something. And it doesn't count for a sale. And then, you have the due on sale clause of the loan.
Yeah, and that's when it transfers.
I think it's
he's only ever been called on once out of his thousands of deals that he's done for this.
But doesn't he remain liable for the asset, liable for insurance, liable in litigation?
So you're saying if he's
the owner. How is that any different? How is that really substantively any different than a lease with an option to buy?
It's similar. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a transfer of an asset. I'm not saying it's dumb. I think a lease option can make sense, but it's just, my understanding is that he would still be liable for anything and everything. Maybe in commercial real estate, you can isolate that risk a little bit, and maybe it's a little bit different, but in residential real estate, there's really no great way to do it.
So you're saying the seller in this instance, if you are selling a house sub two to someone else, so sub two is like when you just take over the payments basically, then as the seller, you're still liable for anything that could go wrong with the house.
Yeah, because you probably created some type of joint venture or trust or whatever it is.
So
the other thing too is you have to remain the sole owner. If there's any other ownership, then the bank can call the loan.
But he's been called by the bank once, but he said most of the time the banks just want to ignore it because this is just one small thing that's been sold off and sold off and sold off.
I mean, I'm not going to risk my loan.
As long as they're performing, then that's all that matters.
I agree that you're right.
And there's also, I will say, there's added benefit to the seller that we haven't even considered, which is, if you're selling a house at a 2.5% interest rate, basically, when you take over the loan, then the person can overpay whoever's buying the house. Or what you also see.
Wait, let me ask you a question. I own a $10 million house, right? Let's say I have $5 million of equity, and I have a $5 million loan at 2.5%. And I structure this. Does this guy give me cash up front?
So you could, yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
So let's say
it'd be similar to a lease option.
But that cash up front is going to be treated as income, whereas on sale it's treated as long-term capital gains. So now I'm paying 50% tax on the money that he gives me when I could be paying 28% tax.
Or what you could do is just increase the sale price of the home, right?
No, I'm not sure how's that solved.
Well, wouldn't it solve it if you just sold the house at a premium? So for something it's not technically worse.
But we can't sell it. Remember, you can't sell it because if you sell it, then the bank calls the loan. You can't transfer the asset.
They haven't.
No, he's not transferring the asset. He's still on title. Otherwise, of course, they're going to call the loan.
I have no idea. Even when Pace is describing it, I'm like,
I'm not a big real estate guy, so I'm still trying to pick up.
There's no way for me to transfer this house to another person without the loan being potentially called. Or no, I mean, it would be called if I transferred it to him. Now, could I put it into an LLC, let's say, and then have him buy 50% of the LLC or something like that? Yeah, technically the bank can still call the loan. And then he'd have to buy the LLC by giving me money. So the whole point of a sale is I want to get my $5 million of equity, right? But if he gives me $5 million, then it's income. And now I got to report $5 million of income and pay 50% tax on it. There's just no way to get my equity out on this. There's just no way. I mean, I've thought about it. Even on a long-term lease with an option, you're still going to get an upfront payment. That's being treated as income. It's taxed at 55%. That's crazy. Whereas when you sell it, it's long-term capital gain. So you can't mess with that structure. There's no way to get your equity out except taking out a line of credit, if you want cash. I'm just telling you, there's no good way to do this. I would be happy to argue with that guy because I don't buy it.
He says for the seller, the benefit is that if you're trying to sell your place from a million, you're not getting it. Now you could sell it for 1.1.
Yeah, but you're not getting 1.1. I mean, so it's just a number on a piece of paper. You're really getting, you're really continuing to take all the liability. You're getting your monthly nut covered, but you'd be getting that covered by rent anyway.
So
and you don't get any equity because if you're getting any equity, you're paying massive tax on it. So where's the seller benefiting from this? I don't get it.
I mean, you could argue for the people that aren't in a rough financial position, it's more like an annuity. And then you could argue for the people that are in a rough financial position. A lot of people, if they
hold on
something
a second.
happens,
How much? Let's say my example, this $10 million house, right? And it's only costing me $20,000 a month because I've got such a great loan on it and low property tax basis. So this guy is paying me what, $25,000 a month? I mean, he's just
maybe he's paying you $30,000 a month.
Fine, but presumably I can rent it for $30,000 a month.
So maybe he's paying.
So how's this guy? I mean, he's getting all the benefit.
Yes, but also there's the situations because he doesn't do this typically with
sell it at all.
Well, he's not doing this with like massive $1 million homes.
But the example would
who cares?
But no, because a lot of the people, they're getting in a position of bankruptcy and they don't want to file for bankruptcy if they're underwater in the home. And then he's basically able to take and monetize the home more effectively than they would be able to.
How is he able to monetize it more effectively?
Well, if they've never been a landlord before. And they
that's a totally different argument. You're saying he's a better property manager. I don't buy that. That's a different argument. I don't buy it.
It is a different argument. I'm just saying that makes this option a little bit more viable.
Well, then he's taking
it.
Then the seller is not a good commercial actor. I mean, if he's buying properties off idiots, then sure. But if you have an intelligent seller, why would an intelligent, and I don't even mean that intelligent, I mean an average seller who just has a modicum of understanding of his asset, why would he want to enter into this transaction? I get why that guy wants to. I totally get why people would want to buy like that. I've had a dozen buyers try to buy properties for my clients like that, and I tell them to f off. Why would the seller want to do it is the question. It's a fake sale. It's not a real sale. You think you sold it for $1,050,000, but you didn't. You got $20,000. You got whatever you rented. You probably could get more money just renting it out. You're never going to get your equity. When are you going to get your equity?
I guess with renting, you would be responsible though for repairs.
You still are. Well, you could
if the buyer defaults,
you could find a tenant. That's why not just get a property manager and just say, hey, because
then the buyer would be responsible for anything. And if the buyer defaults on that, you would take their down payment. Let's just say.
How is this any different than a good property manager? How is this guy?
The buyer is going to be responsible for the issues. With a property manager,
let's say you hire a property manager.
You still have to pay the property manager, and you still have to pay for.
Well, but at the end of the day, if the dollar amount's the same, the dollar amount's the same.
Let's say a roof repair, you still have to pay the $20,000.
Let's say you get a property. Let's say you have an asset that's only costing you $20,000 a month. Obviously it could rent for more, and you get a good property manager to say, hey, this property manager says, hey, I'll guarantee you, I'll rent it for 10 years, and I will pay $20,000 a month, and I'll handle all everything. Property, it's like a triple net. Why don't we look at commercial?
Sure.
How is this guy any different than a triple net tenant? Except that he has a right to take the asset. He's just a really bad triple net tenant. I get why he wants to do it. I would love to be. Hey, I'm going to offer you. Here's a triple net lease. I'm the tenant. Also, I have a right to buy it at this price. By the way, if I want to, or I can, or recession,
I'm going to forfeit my 20% or something.
If it's ever not in my financial interest, I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah.
If it is in my financial interest, I will buy it.
Real quick, how many times have you actually panicked because you could not find your wallet? I'm talking full stop, heart drop, where it's complete panic, because I have way too many times, and now there's a wallet that just shows up in your Find My app. Me telling you that it's been a game changer is a complete understatement, because I cannot tell you how many times I've lost my wallet. But with MagBack, I just open Apple's Find My app to play a sound if it's nearby, or just see it on a map.
That's why we're so excited to partner with MagBack. Honestly, we've been waiting to talk about this because they make a smart wallet, and it's one of those products where once you see how it works, you'll just immediately want it.
It carries up to 9 cards while still looking sleek, plus they're made of genuine top-grain leather that gets softer and develops more character the more you carry it.
It also doubles as a phone stand, and it's compatible with QI wireless chargers, so you don't sacrifice your MagSafe capabilities.
In addition to wallets, MagBack offers minimalistic phone cases, multi-chargers, wireless chargers, Tesla chargers, and rim cases and key tags. Funny enough, one of my favorite products is the Tesla-compatible charger. I have it in my Tesla. I absolutely love it. If you have a Tesla, I highly recommend it.
And you can get 15% off of any of these products using the code iced15 when you go to creators.magback.com/the-iced-coffee-hour. The link is also down below in the description.
Once again, that is code iced15 for 15% off at creators.magback.com/icedcoffeehour. Link down below in the description.